So verse number 23, Bhagavad Gita Chapter 13. So you can all read after me. Upadrishta Anumanta Cha
Upadrushta Hanumanta Cha
Bharta Bhokta
Bhakta Maheshwaraha
Bharta
Bharta
Bhokta
Bhokta
Maheshwara
Maheshwaraha
Paramatmeti Chapyukto
Paramatmeti
Paramatmeti
Chapyukto
Chapyukto
Dehesmin Purusha Para.
Desmin
Desmin
Purusha
Purusha
Para.
Para.
So the first, so within the Jiva, there are two entities. So the previous verse talked about yeah. So these two, the last two verses talked about the Jiva, right? The two entities. So for material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. So the Jiva has no beginning, like we have no beginning, meaning there is no time we got created. We are eternally coexisting with God. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. The transformations are because of material nature. And then the Jiva's nature is explained. Nature is said to be the cause of material causes and effects. Nature is the Prakriti. Prakriti, it's like, you look at anything in the material world, it's a combination of basic material elements, right? The nature transforms, for example, earth into a beautiful flower, earth into a fruit, earth into a grain, or earth into the bodies that we have. The same earth, again, the body goes through so many transformations, again goes back to the nature, right? So everything, the flower goes back to the nature. Everything comes from nature and goes back to nature. So nature is said to be the cause of material causes and effects. Whereas the living entity is the cause of various sufferings and enjoyments in this world. So one is cause of his own suffering and enjoyment in this world. Nobody else to blame. If somebody is going through suffering, it is to be understood, it is either in this life or in the past life. It is only due karma of his. Nobody is responsible for his. At least that's how we should understand. We should never, everything else is an instrument in the hands of, Mother Nature. But ultimately we suffer and enjoy as per the balance of karmic debt that we have, right? So in this world. And the next verse says, yeah, see, this is specifically about the Jiva, who is also considered Purusha, but he is kind of a weak Purusha. Weak Purusha means he is not really a Purusha. The so-called enjoyer, you can call. We think we are the enjoyers in this world, right? So that's how we behave in this world. We see a beautiful flower, we think, it's a beautiful thing to enjoy. So that is how we approach in this world. But actually, we are not the true enjoyer. The true enjoyer is God. We are the so-called enjoyer. Purusha Prakriti Stohi Bhumte Prakriti Jan Guna Karanam Gunasangosya Sadasat Joni Janmasho. So the living entity in the middle world, middle nature, thus follows the ways of life. Whatever comes his way, he will enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature, right? And thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So the living entity, as long as he thinks he's the enjoyer in this world, as long as he has that enjoyment spirit, he meets with good and evil among various species. He goes through various species of life, and he meets both good as well as evil in various species. Right? But as soon as he gets liberated, he doesn't get any other bodies in the material nature. Right? As long as, suppose, if you enjoy, a specific thing, right? For example, you enjoy eating so and so, eating, for example, meat, because you are identifying with that, thing as the enjoyable thing. After this life, you can be awarded a body of a lion, for example, so that you can, okay, that's what you desire, okay, enjoy that, right? So the mother nature is a facilitator. Based on your karma, one goes through suffering and enjoyment in this world, as described here, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with the material nature. He's identifying that this is, I like this, I don't like this. In this way, he meets good and evil among various species, right? If you are a deer, you get eaten. If you're a lion, you eat. So in this way, he goes through various species and enjoys life according to his karma, right? Until he realizes his real identity. As long as he thinks I am this body and I am the enjoyer here, he will be given various bodies so that he can enjoy in this world as per his taste. But as soon as he comes to realization about his real identity, he will be awarded, he will not be given another body in this world. Yeah. So now we read this verse, Upadrishta Anumanchasa. So now Lord is describing the other Purusha in the heart. There is one Purusha, the so-called Purusha, who is thinking he is the enjoyer, that was described here. So this is all because Arjuna has asked, what is Purusha? Who is the Purusha? There are two Purushas. One is described in the previous verse. Now it is describing God as Paramatma, or Krishna as Paramatma in the heart of the Jiva. Who is he? What does he do? Right? Upadrishta. He is an overseer. He observes and supervises everything that the Jiva does. So if you are doing some activity, could be good or bad, there is one person who is always watching. That is Paramatma within the heart, Upadrishta. He is the overseer. And he is also Anumanta. Anumanta means the permitter. You may desire to lift your hand. But if you have a specific disease, for example, right, where you can't lift your hand, right, you only decide. The Jiva desires to lift. Paramatma orders the material nature, which is the body. The body is not in your control. You think you are in control. I could lift my hand, but actually I am not the lifter of the hand. I decide, Paramatma sanctioned, material nature executed the operation. Just like you want to drive the car. For example, you want to drive the car. You are not pushing the car, right? You are pressing the accelerator. That is your expression of desire. The engine that is there within the body, that drives the physical car. So similarly, the engine who is driving, the permitter, is actually Paramatma within the heart. So we only desire. Sometimes we can't lift. If the karma is not permitting, you cannot lift. You want to eat something. If your karma doesn't permit, you won't eat. You won't be able to eat. So like that, we think we are the doers in this world, but actually we are the desirers only. We are not the doers. We are the desirers. And based on the sanction of the Lord within the heart, Paramatma, we actually get the action executed. Yeah. And who else? What else is he? He is the Bharta. Bharta means the master, husband or master. Bharta. He is the Bharta. Paramatma is the Bharta. Bhokta. He is the real enjoyer. You are not the enjoyer. Who is the real enjoyer? Paramatma is the real enjoyer. Maheshwara. He is the Supreme Lord. Paramatmeti. He is also known as Paramatma. Chapyukto in this body. So Dehesmin Purusha Para. In this body, Dehesmin, in your body, in my body, in everybody's body, is that Parama Purusha is there, right? Purusha Para. Para means he is the real Purusha. Para means transcendental. He is the supreme Purusha, the supreme enjoyer, right? We think we are the enjoyer. Actually, within the body also, we are not the enjoyer. We are, the body is, that's why the body is considered like a temple. Right? Because everybody's body is actually a temple, including animals, including trees, including plants, including ants, everything. Every body has Paramatma within the body. And that is the power that is actually driving that body. We are not the ones to drive the body. We are minute, minuscule. We only express our desire. Paramatma is the one who permits, oversees, is the master enjoyer, and is the Supreme Lord. He is the real enjoyer. Clear? The very important verse to understand, right? So in this verse, it is distinctly clear that Atma and Paramatma are different. Yeah. So nobody read the translation. Can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and the permitter, and who is known as the super soul.
Yeah. Very clear, right? So within our body is the Lord. Lord is there within the body. Lord is there in outside also. Just like I was explaining the last week. Just like if you have sun in the sky, that is the original sun. But you have 100 parts of water on the floor, on the ground. In each of the part is the reflection of the sun. So similarly, the Supreme Lord, who is in the transcendental world, in Vaikuntha, in Vaikunthas he is there, he's also in Goloka, the Supreme Vaikuntha. But the same Lord expands into each of the universe. So in each of the universe, he is the Supreme Lord, right? In each of the universe, he exists as Garbhodakasai Vishnu, one Vishnu, that is the Lord of the universe. And he again expands, the same Garbhodakasai Vishnu further expands into into the heart of every living entity. That is called Kshirodakasai Vishnu or Paramatma, right? So this is the way in which the Paramatma exists within the heart, right? So that Paramatma, he is the overseer, he is the permitter, he is the one, who is the true enjoyer. So many people think, the heart has only Atma, there is no Paramatma. Right? So that's what Prabhupada is clarifying here. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and Paramatma are different. The super soul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul doesn't. This is legs and hands. It's not like our hands and legs. It means that he can. So we can't get anything from anywhere, but he is so powerful that he can achieve anything from anywhere. That's how you should understand. It's not a literal translation. It is like metaphorical understanding that he is, even though he is Paramatma within the heart, he understand. He is the Supreme Lord himself. Even though he is of the, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, it is the size of the right thumb of the jiva. So whatever jiva, if it is hen, it is the that particular thumb of the hen, or any animal. So it's the size of the thumb. So he exists, but even though he is so within the heart, he is also the knower of everything. He is equally powerful within the heart. He is there, but he is equally powerful as the Supreme Lord, right? And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within to sanction the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. So that's what I was telling. Even to eat food, your hand should lift. That is not actually lifted by you. You only decide. It is the sanction of the Lord that we get it. So you are working. That Shakti is given to you by Lord. So that is why those who are knowledgeable, they're always grateful in their heart for everything that they have. Because how many people in this world cannot see? How many people in this world are paralyzed? We are able to do because of the mercy or the sanction of the Lord right now. So those who understand this deeper, this level of knowledge, they are always grateful to Lord. Right? So the individual is bhukta, or the enjoyer, or the sustained. Bhukta. Bhukta means the sustained, and the Lord is the bhakta, or the maintainer. Right? We are the sustained. Who is sustaining us? The bhakta, or the maintainer, or the Paramatma. There are innumerable living entities, and he's staying in them as a friend. He's the real friend. You go to the body of an animal, he's going to accompany you after this lifetime. So he's always there with you. The same Paramatma accompanies, by the way. So when you leave this body, it's not like that same Paramatma knows you very well through all these lifetimes. He is a constant companion to the next form of the life, right? So that's how it operates. The fact is that every individual living entity is eternally part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimately related as friends. But the living entity has the tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature. And because he has this tendency, he is called marginal potency. So the jiva has the tendency to enjoy independently. Okay? Where is it coming from? It is coming from Paramatma only, because we are made in the reflection of God. So we have minute aspects of what Lord has. So naturally we have the tendency to enjoy in this world. But actually those who are knowledgeable, they understand they are not the real enjoyer. They are bhukta, or the sustained. Yeah. So as long as he is conditioned by the material energy, the Supreme Lord, as his friend, the super soul stays with him just to get him to return to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, that individual entity is continually rejecting the association of spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditional nature. So Lord wants us back in this world, in his spiritual world, but we are attached to material enjoyment. So we want to continue to enjoy in this world. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditional nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within and from without. From without, he gives instructions as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. So how does he instruct us? Through various miseries in this world, right? For example, we got corona, or some other disease, or we constantly go through suffering in this world, right? Every day we have to maintain the body, we have to take bath, right? We have to so much to maintain this body. We have to cook, we have to, of course, we need to do it as a duty, but it is all only part of the material existence. When you go back to spiritual world, there is no material body and there is no material maintenance of the material body. Right? Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, begins to advance towards a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Right? So God is not too far, actually. God is right within the heart. But why do we go to temple? One may ask, right? So anybody wants to answer why we should go to temple?
Prabhuji, usually temple means usually the devotees who want to advance in the spiritual life. So people like that will come to the temple, right? So if we go to the temple, we get the association of the devotees, and we also might progress in our spiritual life.
That is very, yeah, Any other reasons?
Prabhuji, you had mentioned before, I think it is not for us to see the Lord, but so the Lord can see us.
God can see us, yes, that is true. But what is the fundamental reason? Because the jiva, even though Paramatma is within the heart, just like electromagnetic waves are everywhere, but you need a receiver and a unit to display, right? Television. Electromagnetic waves are everywhere, but can we grasp it? We can't, right? So we need a device to basically absorb and represent or show us, right? So similarly, even the Paramatma is within the heart, some people, casually say, hey, God is within you. Why do you have to go to temple, right? But do you have the ability to converse with him? Do you have the ability to connect with him? So see, just like we cannot, even though electromagnetic waves are everywhere, we cannot connect with them. Similarly, we cannot connect with the Lord. In the temple, he is present as the Supreme Lord, where we can actually connect with him very easily. Just like Lord is everywhere, Lord is also present in the Archa Vigraha, especially because a pure devotee has invited him to stay in that form. So he actually mercifully lands in that form. He comes and personally reciprocates in that form. So that's why we see so many, whenever there are great devotees, they have direct reciprocation with the Lord in the form of Vigraha. Like, Krishna in the Pandharpur, Bhadrachalam Ramadas, Tirupati Balaji, so many devotees had personal connection with the Lord. They had constant experiences with the Lord. Right? Varadaraj from Srirangam, like so many deities, have reciprocated with the Lord, with the devotees. It depends, when we advance, we can connect to that, the Lord in the form of deity. But at least it helps us to connect with him. We can serve, we can bring certain things to him, to the Lord. We can pray, we can worship, we can do bhajans, we can dance, and we can clean the temple. We can do all these things as service to Lord in a much more tangible ways. Correct? So we cannot do all those to Paramatma within the heart. We know theoretically, but we cannot connect. Just like we know electromagnetic energy is everywhere, but we can't really connect to it. Right? That makes sense?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Yayevam vetti purusham.
य एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं
Purusham
प्रकृतिं
Prakritim
च
cha
गुणैः सह
gunai saha
Prakritim cha gunai saha
Sarvata vartamanopi
sarvata
Sarvata
vartamanopi
Vartamanopi
nasabhuyo bhijayate.
Nabhyo Vijayate.
Please read.
One who understands this philosophy concerning material nature, the living entity, and the interaction of the modes of the nature is sure to attain liberation. He will not take birth here again, regardless of his present position.
Whoever you may be, as soon as you understand how this whole thing is operating, that you are the jiva stuck within this material body, and Paramatma is there, who is the sanctioner, the interaction, right? Living entity and the interaction of the nature, right? How you're only a desirer and the Paramatma is a sanctioner, the verse previous to this. As soon as one understands this and realizes this knowledge, he will not take birth here again. Very clear. It means he attains liberation. He will attain liberation. Whoever may be, whatever his present position may be, doesn't matter. But he will not come back to this world. So this knowledge is so important and so powerful. Right? One should always be mindful of this knowledge. Please read this part. It's very clear, but
Clear understanding of material nature, the super soul, the individual soul, and their interrelation makes one eligible to become liberated and turn to the spiritual atmosphere without being forced to return to this material nature. This is the result of knowledge. The purpose of knowledge is to understand distinctly that the living entity has by chance fallen into this material existence.
yeah, by mistake or by chance, we have fallen into this material existence. We are not really part of this material existence. That's the point. Yeah. So our duty is like all of you are doing today, by his personal endeavor in association with authorities, saintly persons, and a spiritual master, he has to understand his position and then revert to a spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness by understanding Bhagavad Gita as it is explained by personality of Godhead. Even if you, whatever you may be, right? You may be the biggest loser in the material world, doesn't matter. The real life is actually, the real purpose of life is to go back to God. As long as you are on track for that, nothing else really matters. You may lose your job, you may lose everything in your life, but doesn't matter really. This is what you should really worry about. As long as you have spiritual connection and you are making spiritual progress, you are on track. If this is what is missing in your life, that's when you should really feel sorry for it. Yeah. Because you will never come back to this world again. Then it is certain that he'll never come back again into the material existence. He will be transferred into a spiritual world for a blissful eternal life of knowledge. Jane natmani pashyante.
Dhyanenaatmano
Pashyanti
pasyante
Kechid atmanamatmana.
Kechid
kesit atmanam
Atmanam
atmana
Anye sankhena yogena.
Anye
sakyayena yagnena
Karma yogena chapare.
Karma Yogi
कर्मयोगेन चापरे.
Yeah, please read.
Some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitive results.
So, Paramatma is there. Of course, it's already very well described between the chapters 7 to 12 about Bhagavan. But again, how different people approach this Paramatma, the super soul. Right? Some try with meditation, right? Others through cultivation of knowledge, jnana, dhyana, jnana, and some through karma yoga. These three methods. Anyetva evam ajananta.
अन्वैत एवम् अजानन्त
Shrutvanyebhya upasate.
कृत्वान्येभ्यः उपासते
Tepi chati tarancheva.
तेऽपि च चित्रानन्ते एव
Mrityum shruti parayana.
Mrityam
मृत्युं श्रुते परायण.
Please read.
Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also translate transcend the path of birth and death.
This is exactly about devotees. Right? Devotees generally hear from authorities, like you're all trying to hear or learn Bhagavad Gita from Prabhupada here, Prabhupada's book. Again, there are those, although not conversant with spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person, Bhakti, upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Perfect, right? It's for devotees. Shruti Parayana, inclined to hearing, right? The desire to hear. The desire to hear, people have desire to hear so many things, right? But those who want to hear Bhagavad Gita, knowledge of God, right? They also achieve liberation. This is assurance of Lord. Yeah. Yeah, please read this part.
This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society there is particularly no education in spiritual matters. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important.
Yeah. So it's very important to hear. If he's a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement. This hearing process is very important. Yeah, please read.
What is, Prabhuji, what is the meaning for agnostic?
Agnostic means people, there are atheistic means people who don't accept God's presence. They vehemently disagree about the presence of Lord. Even though there is no proof for non-existence, there is no material proof for that. They are religiously avowed to be against God. Right? Agnostic means those people who are okay. I don't know if God exists, so I don't want to accept it. I'm not either agreeing to existence or not agreeing to existence. So I am agnostic. The agnostic is another form of atheism only.
Okay, thank you very much.
In the modern world, a lot of people claim themselves to be agnostic instead of being atheistic, because atheistic people, they're avowed to be against God. They proclaim that God's non-existence, even though there is no real proof for it for them, right? Because if you ask theistic people, those who are advanced, there are many people who are just theoretically religious, but those who are advanced spiritually, they have personal experiences of God. They have no issue. But many people in this world, they're religious because out of fear of God. They don't have real faith in God. They fear, okay, I'm constructing this temple, or I'm getting into this new home. Let us have some blessing of God, if he exists, right? Why to risk? This is Baba, this is a $1 million investment. Why should I risk? I can pay like 10 coconuts if required, right? So they worship God as a risk management strategy. If God is there, let him be happy. Very unfortunate. That is agnostic approach to God. Because the real problem is the education system. Education system currently that is prevalent is called humanistic education system. Humanistic education system means whereby all the knowledge that is given in the books that is read should be explainable through human experience. And they avowedly against explaining any concept through the supernatural, through acceptance of supernatural. They want everything to be explained through cause and effect within the material existence, within the material experiences, right? But unfortunately, there are so many questions that cannot be answered in that method, right? If you ask them whether the seed is the beginning or the, or the tree, there is no answer. God is the real beginning, right? So why I die, no answer. Why I am born, no answer. The question why is completely unanswered through modern science. We all know very well, right? Why anything exists, there is no answer for that, right? They have certain speculative understanding of Big Bang and all, but so far nothing is proved. It's just speculation. It's all pure speculation. There is no proof to prove that life comes from chemicals. All that is, pure speculation, unfortunately. Not one thing we had proved. There is no way how a simple mosquito can fly so well without, without any air control systems, without any collisions. Can you build something similar? No, we have no such technology, right? We can't even recreate a heart. How such sophisticated system within the body are created? Why they are created? No answer. So you can go on there are million number of whys that cannot be answered by modern science, but still they claim there is no God. Unfortunately, right? So those are all people who are agnostic, right? Or atheistic people who proclaim that God's non-existence, or they don't want to accept presence of God. Doesn't matter. It's very superficial. If you go in, in deeply think about any of these ideas, very superficial. Yeah. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self-realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In these words, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended. And this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so-called philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Yeah. So we all started our life, our spiritual life like that, by hearing somebody, right? So hearing from Prabhupada like that. So that's what is mentioned here. Yavat sanjayate kinchet
Yavat sanjayate kinchit
Sattvam Shavara Jangamam Stavara
sattvam
Sattvam
statvarajna
Kshetra Kshetrajna Samyogat
kshetra kshetrajna samyoga
Tadvidhi Bharatarshapha.
tadvidhi bharatarshabha.
Please read.
O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in existence, both the moving and the non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field.
Moving means the life forms with the forms with life. Non-moving means complete material. Is only a combination of field of activities, kshetra, and knower of the field or kshetrajna. Yeah, whatever you see in existence is just combination of kshetra and kshetrajna. Right? The soul and body, like that. Right? Everything can be explained in that way, in literal terms. Yeah, please continue reading.
Both material nature and the living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills, which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of material nature and the superior nature, the living entity.
Hmm. Life has to be there. Without life, nothing moves in this world. Right? Only when life, the soul is there in the physical body, he desires and Paramatma sanctions, and the life moves. So please read the next line.
Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between material nature and spiritual nature is eternally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So everything is relationship between material nature and spiritual nature is eternally going on. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu
Samam sarveshu bhuteshu
Teshu
ishtantam parameshwaram
Tistantam Parameswaram
Venasyasva avinasyantam
Vinasyastam
avinasyantam
Avinasyasyantam
sapashyate.
Yah Payasyati Sa Payasyati.
Yeah, please read.
One who sees the supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies and who understands that neither the soul nor the supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed actually sees.
So there are two, it's very clear now. One who shows the super soul accompanying the individual soul in all bodies. Means whether you see a pig or cat or human being, one who understands, one who can see the essence of every jiva, which is there is jiva and there is Paramatma, right? One who understands that neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Neither the soul nor the super soul within the destructible body is ever destroyed. Yeah. One who sees that the jiva is eternal and the Paramatma is of course eternal. Yeah? Within this destructible body. Body is ever changing. Right? He actually sees. Yah pashyati sapashyati. Means he is actually seeing the right thing. One who thinks that body is the real self, he will be subjected to lot of agony when the bodies pass away. Right? One day, all our loved ones will have to leave the body, and everybody is on their own journey, even though we all come together. In fact, Bhagavatam describes the families that come together are like bubbles in a ocean. If you look at ocean, there are so many bubbles that are coming up from the bottom time and again. So many bubbles come together and they burst, and they again dismantle, and again they come together in some other formation. In this way, the jiva is taking various forms in various species, in various cities, various countries, various bodies. Hare Krishna, I'm sorry I got reconnected. Okay. Yeah. Where are we? Yeah. We were discussing this, right? Yeah. So the one who understands Paramatma is Paramatma and the Jiva. They are the real, the real personality. Right? We all come together. I was talking about, how we all come together. So all our relationships are temporary. As long as we are in this body, we have the duties towards our family, children, and society, community. We do our duties as necessary, but understand everything we have today is a very temporary arrangement, and nothing is going to stay with us for long. Right? It's just a matter of time. Everything will be taken away from us. So with that knowledge, with that understanding, we should be always carrying the core principles. Always we should be saragrahi. A devotee should be saragrahi. Saragrahi means one who actually seeks the essence. What is the essence? The essence is we're all the jivas within the material world, stuck trying to enjoy in this world in various ways. But our real enjoyment is not in this world. We are actually eternal living entities belonging to eternal world. Eternal living entities never belong to temporary world. This is a temporary world that goes through creation, destruction. Here is a temporary world where the bodies get created and destroyed. It's a temporary world to teach us a lesson so that we actually realize that we don't belong to this world. That's all is the purpose of this existence. One who understands this aspect and sincerely endeavors towards eternal being, so those are the real seers. Those are the real, people who they're actually seeing the truth. Others are not seeing the truth. Yeah, please read this. Mataji.
Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these things, these three things. Those who do not have such association are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both the soul and the supersoul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non-moving forms.
After the body is destroyed, they keep on moving to various forms. Samam pasyam hi sarvatra.
Samam
Samam pasyanti sarvatra
Navasthitam Ishvaram.
samavasistam visamvaram
Ishvaram.
Ishvara
Nahimasti atmanatmanam.
nasti atman
Yati param gatim.
tato eti parangatim.
Please read.
One who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind. Thus, he approaches the transcendental destination.
So one who sees super soul equally present everywhere. Super soul is present everywhere, but one who sees that, he does not degrade himself by his mind. He will never be confused about the purpose of life. Right? Mind is the distractor in this world, right? We have so many desires that are all popping out of mind. Why not enjoy this? Why not enjoy that? So, in a way, mind is the monkey within the that distracts us from the real purpose of life, right? But one who starts seeing with this vision that God is in everything, in everywhere, one who can see the presence of God is the true fact, and one who can actually understand, at least theoretically, through practice of meditation, chanting, one actually understands this is the reality, right? Right now, what we are studying is all theory. Bhagavad Gita is like a theoretical knowledge. When we practice chanting, what happens? The theory becomes practice. The theory becomes practice, or theory becomes a realization. If you don't want to just stay theoretical, if you want to actually imbibe all these principles and actually make it part of your life and realize knowledge, we need to do chanting. Chanting is the most important thing. And they are, of course, hearing the classes like this continuously and associating with devotees. All these are all aspects that will bring us close to the realization of the purpose of life. Right? So then otherwise mind will give so many ideas for enjoying in this world, and one may fall prey to it. Right? Thus he approaches it into destination. Yeah. Prakritchaiva cha karmani
Vaivacha karmani
yamanani sarvasha
manani sarvasa
pashyati tatatmanam
pasyati tatamanam
akartaram sapashyate.
Akarta
taram pasyati.
So this is about a person who realized, right, all these verses. First thing Krishna explained, who is the Upadrishta, or who is the real Purusha. After that, one who understands that Purusha is the self-realized. So that's what those, and his vision is explained. The idea is that everybody should get there slowly. So for us, it is the practice of chanting and devotion that will bring us to that state. Yeah, please read. Anybody wants to read again?